Hi, my name is Nick Horsnell, and I'm a library officer here at the Greater Perth Public Library. So my task has been to research an emerging technology that's changed the way libraries can store, retrieve, or communicate information to our clients and the wider community. So the topic I'll be discussing today is augmented reality, otherwise known and referred to as AR. The presentation will begin with some basics and a background into the technology, assess any equipment or devices required, discover how AR can be applied in a library environment and the benefits of this, before discussing any issues related to copyright and licensing. So let's start with a simple definition of augmented reality provided by the State Library of Queensland. Augmented reality is technology that overlays the real-world environment with digital information and media, including 3D models, animated stickers, and videos, overlaying in the camera view of your smartphone, tablet, or connected glasses. So while virtual reality is a fully enclosed, completely digital environment, the real-world environment is central to the AR experience, blending virtual objects and a digital interface in real time. So the concept originated in 1968 with Harvard professor Ivan Sutherland, who created a bulky head-mounted display to envision wireframe drawings in the lab. AR remained relatively obscure until 1990, when Boeing researchers coined the term augmented reality by overlaying digital versions of complex diagrams for their aircraft electricians. The true potential of AR took off in 2017, well and truly into the smart device age. Game-based concepts and availability of software design tools from tech heavyweights increased accessibility, resulting in new users and content creators. So, the main forms of AR in the current age are marker or recognition-based AR, using materials such as books, posters, cards, banners, and physical objects in the real world that can be activated by scanning to reveal augmented digital content. The second is location-based or markerless AR, using GPS embedded in your device to provide data based on your location. The third is superimposition-based AR, which uses object recognition within your device again, presenting an augmented view of object and environment, replacing the original view. What are some examples of AR that we might already be familiar with today? Pokemon Go was a game downloaded over 1 billion times by young people and adults alike to search and collect characters that will appear in real-world environments through their device. Social media has embraced facial recognition technology in Snapchat and Instagram, such as face swapping and changing yourself into certain animals. Google Translate has an AR feature where you point the device at text and it can translate into over 30 different languages. IKEA also has an app where you can scan the area or environment to place furniture to test suitability and layout. To experience AR, certain equipment is needed. Hardware. The most common way of experiencing AR is with handheld devices, smartphones such as iPhone or Android, and tablets such as your iPad or your Samsung. The device needs GPS, light adjustment, camera, and movement tracking. AR glasses are also available, such as Microsoft HoloGlass or Google Glass, which has now been discontinued, but they are less popular, less accessible, and more expensive. Perhaps they will be more popular in the future. Software. So there are thousands of downloadable mobile apps, which are mostly free, available on the Apple App Store or on Google Play. These can be installed by users. There has been a massive increase in apps thanks to the software development kits, or SDKs, developed in 2017 by Apple with their AR Kit and Google with their AR Core. These offer tools for developers to create apps. An internet connection will be needed to access content found on apps, but Wi-Fi access will be no problem in a public library. If patrons bring their own device, they will need an Apple or Google account to access, download, and install apps. According to a survey by the Australian Communication and Media Authority, 80% of Australian kids aged 12 to 13 had access to a mobile device in 2019. Even so, we can't assume that everyone has access to technology. Libraries can offer devices and sets of devices with technology to provide to the disadvantaged and close the digital divide. Examples include the Malaysian National Library, who made 2 designated reading spaces, supplying tablets with necessary software and content apps preloaded for a user-friendly experience. How can augmented reality be implemented in the library environment? I've focused on marker-based AR, and particularly in youth and children's services. First, I want to look at the creation of TPL AR, a free library app introduced by the Toronto Public Library, which has the highest branch visits in North America and circulation per capita in the world. They place strategically placed posters and brochures which can be scanned for augmented content, aimed at teens and to enhance experience. The list captures teen imagination with suggested reads through genres such as nail-biters, headspace, graphic and anime. They include video reviews from local peers, which really fosters collaboration.
TPL AR is the new Toronto Public Library augmented reality app. Use it to discover hidden content by scanning select Toronto Public Library items and publications. With the app, you have access to hidden digital content, such as animations, pictures, and videos. TPL AR is easy to use. Once you download the app, just open it, grant it permission to use your camera, look at your screen, and then point your camera at one of Toronto Public Library's augmented reality-enabled posters, brochures, magazines, or other items.
As the youth of today have grown up in a digital age, it's a demographic that's sometimes hard for libraries to reach. By combining digital content with traditional print materials can be more appealing, and also help those with learning difficulties see information in a different way. Let's look at an Australian author's attempt to reach this generation through AR.
The book is a young adult psychological thriller. You read the book like a traditional novel, but there are images on the pages. And when you get to an image, you take out your smartphone and you scan the image using a commercially available augmented reality app, and the video content plays against the background of the image on the page. Teachers and parents are worried that kids aren't reading enough, but the research tells us that they're reading more than they ever have at any point in history. They're just reading differently. So I wanted to engage young adults back into reading long-form fiction novels by incorporating digital technologies and the digital components that they prefer to engage with.
Libraries can build collections of AR-activated material and spaces. An array of AR-activated children's books are available on the market in popular fiction and educational non-fiction. Most feature a read and a play mode. Storytelling comes alive with illustrations and characters that leap out of the book with movement and sound. This enhances understanding and learning, and also the kids have fun at the same time. It can also provide benefits in culturally and linguistically diverse communities for children and parents alike. Suitable titles can be used in interactive story time, as we see here in Gwinnett County Library's program for early childhood literacy.
Picture books, chapter books, hardcover or soft, they fill our public libraries and come to life during story time. But Gwinnett County libraries are taking story time to a whole new level.
We're going to start with Sergio Seal. Sergio, can you do a flip for the kids? Ooh.
This is a program called Letters Alive that uses augmented reality to help preschoolers learn to read and love doing it.
And what sound does that make? These animals are going to interact with the kids to learn their letters, their sounds. We're going to build words, we build sentences.
Gwinnett County Schools already use the technology, and now it's in 15 library branches. That's every one in the county.
You've got kids that are geared towards iPads and computers. Well, this is another way to captivate them.
Can. Now, what do you think frogs can do? Jump. What's he doing?
Only 20% of our kids are ready for kindergarten, so the library has the ability to bridge that gap.
My son, he's learning English actually because we speak Chinese at home, so it's perfect. He actually learned how to say the sentence.
We can also promote Australian cultural awareness to new generations through AR, during special events such as Night Out Week or through more permanent spaces. The State Library of Queensland used interactive app Quiver in their Kuril Dargan space, teaching Indigenous language names for Australian animals, so children can read, colour in and bring their creation to life and learn the story.
Kiwi are not like other birds. In some ways, they are more like mammals. Their feathers are like fur, and they have long whiskers around their faces like a cat. Kiwi come out at night to feed on worms and insects, which they sniff out using the nostrils at the end of their long, sensitive...
The InDigital app is also available to engage and explore with cultural stories and language by holding up one's phone to specifically created art markers created by Indigenous artists.
So what exactly is InDigital?
InDigital is Indigenous and digital, and we create mobile phone apps that use augmented reality for Indigenous cultural storytelling. So we started with cultural storytelling on bark and ochre paintings, and what we actually do with the app is you hold your phone up to the artwork and the artwork comes alive in three-dimensional storytelling. We use animation, and the traditional owners who paint the artwork are very involved in how the artwork comes to life in 3D animation. It started because I'm a Cabrogal woman, so my country is actually not in Kakadu, it's in Sydney. I was standing at a cultural place of significance to our people, and I didn't understand what the cultural site was about, and I really wanted a way to communicate what all these amazing cultural knowledge systems are about.
Augmented reality tech workshops can also be introduced, explaining emerging tech, providing guidance how to use, and promoting digital literacy. The State Library of Queensland offers AR design workshops as an outlet for the next generation of app developers. This promotes digital inclusion and access to tech for all, encouraging creatives in our community and preparing individuals with skills that can be used in the workforce. Staff members also increase their personal knowledge and professional development with emerging technology that can be passed on to clients. AR can also enhance local history material, sometimes overlooked by patrons. During the South Australian History Festival in 2018, Campbelltown Public Library implemented History AR tours. Woodfield Library also used AR to combine technology with stories of the past to make it more interesting to younger patrons. The 2D material and displays come to life with the story, which is more immersive and exciting to the patron. Fragile or rare items can also be protected. When looking at augmented titles and apps, the Australian Copyright Council states that most copyright owners of digital material provide their material under licenses. This means how you use the material will be determined by the licence, rather than the provisions found in the Copyright Act 1968. When libraries acquire legitimate material as they would, they receive some form of licence from the copyright owner to use the material. Therefore, it is always important to understand the terms of the licence agreement before purchasing or using digital material. Educational institutions, libraries and governments may rely on fair dealing provisions found within the Copyright Act to deal with copyright material in digital formats. However, if a licence restricts or prohibits an action, the organisation may breach the contract, even though it doesn't infringe copyright. So it would be wise for a library to introduce procedures for management of digital resources to enhance use and avoid problems. If libraries or patrons are creating content and apps, regarding local history content in particular, we must attain proper permissions for use, especially with cultural and photo-based content, and of course properly attribute any sources of information. A report into AR and VR commissioned by the Australian Government Department of Education provides the following information that could also be relevant in libraries if creating content. When creating and sharing AR content, consider privacy and cultural issues related to images of people and places or information that is shared as part of using the application. Intellectual property. Will the platform or vendor own the AR content that we produce, and is this an issue? Copyright. Are we breaching copyright when incorporating different media in the content we are creating? So as well as the Copyright Act 1968, we also must consider the Privacy Act of 1988. Other issues may include age appropriateness of available AR resources and content, as well as health and safety issues with patrons and children moving around the library distracted. The American Library Association's Library Technology Reports surveyed 101 global libraries, public, academic, school and special, to discover the current state of adoption and programming in AR. 44% responded they had some form of AR or VR experience available. Of the remaining, 34% said they were in the stages of creating programs or interested in starting one. Libraries with AR or VR reported a definite increase in patron engagement, and many were looking to expand their programs by purchasing more devices or focusing on educational programming. According to Deloitte's Technology, Media and Telecommunications predictions, AR is on the cusp of reality, with Australia on the precipice of mass adoption, and AR having a role to play in the future of work and job creation. Smartphone will be the primary device for content creation, with Australia having some of the highest figures for smartphone penetration per population. I hope this presentation today has been informative and provides an insight into the technology that is augmented reality. I believe, as library professionals and providers of information, that we should be early adopters of emerging technologies, providing access and guidance, and staying relevant in a society that is advancing rapidly with digital-based media and services. Augmented reality provides patrons with new ways of discovering and interacting with library spaces and collections, enhancing the traditional library experience. It is interactive and can encourage collaboration within our community. I believe the introduction of marker-based AR technology within the Greater Perth Public Library will greatly benefit our existing services, particularly in the youth demographic as discussed. So I want to thank you again for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me afterwards and check out any references afterwards for further information.